Hello everyone, welcome if you're new here, welcome back if you're not. My name is Kenzie and this is my book channel and my computer is falling apparently. Anyway, if you are new here, like I said, my name is Kenzie, this is my book channel. I promise at some point I will have a decent intro where I'm not awkward and weird. Actually, I can't keep that promise. I probably shouldn't make promises I can't keep. Anyway, so it is finally time for my 2024 reading wrap up. So here's the thing. When I started this year, technically last year since I'm filming this on January 1st, speaking of which, Happy New Year, everybody. Anyway, when I started reading in 2024, my original goal was 12 books. You know, one per month. I knew I could do it. And then it took me 6 months to read one specific book, and I think it was just because I wasn't in the mood for it. And also, I'm gonna be honest, it starts off kind of slow. And then around like June, which is when I finally finished this book, I started seeing BookTube content, and that is what got me into reading, specifically a video by Haley Pham. I don't remember what video, but she was reading a book called Five Survive, and her reaction to it made me want to read it. So, and that is how I got introduced to ebooks. So, here's the thing. In 2023, I only read 4 books. In 2024, I read 20. So, technically 19, but still, we're going to count it as 20 because I read one twice. So, I also really quickly want to say that for me personally, I count like physical books, ebooks, audiobooks, and novellas. That is what I count as books to read. So, anyway, so I've got my nicely decorated computer here all throughout the year. Okay, well, ever since I started like really getting into reading, I have had this little note. You can see that there's words. I don't know if you can see what they say. Explaining all of the books I have read. So, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so the first book I read, and this is the one that took me 6 months to read, is Unspoken by Sarah Rees Brennan. I believe is how you say her name. This is the first in the Lindburn Legacy. It's a trilogy. First off, the cover is so pretty to me. It's also like spooky, mysterious. This is a YA fantasy, I believe. At least I'm pretty sure it's fantasy. What is magical realism or whatever? Because if this isn't fantasy, it might be that. I don't know. Anyway, YA fantasy with a little romance subplot. Basically, this girl has gone her whole life with a voice in her head, but not in like the normal way of like a conscience or anything. In a way of she could literally talk to people. And when she was younger, everyone assumed, you know, it's just an imaginary friend. But then as she got older and the voice didn't go away, people just thought she was crazy. Come to find out, after the Lindburns moved back to her town of Sorry in the Vale, come to find out that voice is very much so real. So this book is just going through that, figuring all that out. My review is slow at the beginning, because it was. There are some parts where it's super slow paced and you want to skip ahead, but then there are other parts that are so fast paced that you don't even realize when certain parts start. So I feel like I felt like I had to go back a few times and reread. I did enjoy the friendships and a little bit of romance, but nothing was super forced. I liked the twist at the end where you thought the bad guy was one person, but it was the person you least expected, which looking back, there were a few signs. I enjoyed the fact that the last like 3 to 4 chapters were so captivating I couldn't put the book down. I enjoyed that there was a little bit of a cliffhanger, but I didn't enjoy the cliffhanger itself. The cliffhanger itself made me cry a little, not gonna lie. Anyway, so I rated this 3.5 out of 5 stars. So, the next book was, of course, Five Survive by Holly Jackson. Any of the ebooks or like books I don't have the physical copy of, I will like put a picture somewhere on the screen. So, Five Survive by Holly Jackson. And I'm gonna be honest, at the time I didn't realize it was the same author as A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. And I had like kind of been wanting to read that series, but like not really. Anyway, so as soon as I started reading it, I was immediately intrigued, and I did not want to put the book down. I was obsessed. And I told my friend about it and how fast I was reading it, and she was very impressed because she knows it takes me forever to read books. In the last 10-ish chapters, it gets really heavy. I guess is the best way to describe it. There are a lot of twists and just things that you would never expect to happen. And the very end, however, was so confusing and so extremely fast-paced. I did not enjoy that part as much, but it did make me want to go read the epilogue part, which I never read in books. Got me out of a reading slump. 4.5 out of 5 stars. So, that was a very good book. I'm not kidding. I still think about it sometimes. So, and again, looking back on that, the bad guy, I feel like I knew it way too easy. Like I knew it immediately almost. So, same with the next book, which was A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. Alright, hooked from the very beginning, I fell in love with Pip and Robbie. I thought there were some funny parts in it. I love how you always thought you knew who it was, but then something would happen and you would go, oh no, it can't be them. I loved how much Robbie cared for Pip and how strong and determined Pip was to solve the case. There were a few parts that I didn't like as much, something that happened to an animal, and also the reveal at the end as to who it was and why they did it. 4 out of 5 stars. So the reveal at the end, I feel like the final reveal, I feel like it could have been done better. But at the same time, it was still a really good book. Alright. Beyond the Wand by Tom Felton. This is the one that I read twice, technically speaking. I read the ebook, and then I also listened to the audiobook recently. And can I just say, really quickly, listening to him do different voices and accents and stuff is just so funny to me. I love it. Anyway. Okay, so this is my review of Beyond the Wand. I love that Tom was open and honest about his life and struggles. I have loved Tom Felton for years. And by that, I mean between 10 and 11, I started really getting into Harry Potter, and I specifically loved how Tom portrayed Draco. So that is when my love for Tom Felton started. Anyway, so being able to read this book, learn more about him, things I never would have thought he would go through, and I think it sort of reminded me that just because someone's life seems perfect doesn't mean it is. I started getting emotional towards the end. I also had stayed up all night to read this book. That might be the other reason why I got so emotional. Anyway, I got emotional towards the end, but I still absolutely loved the book, and this little note I have at the end. Hold on. I gotta get serious for this. Tom Felton, if he ever somehow sees this video, ever, this is so awkward. I could just not do this, but I'm gonna, because why not? I have this little note for Tom. Tom, I love you. I love your work. You are amazing, and even though you don't know me personally, I am very proud of you for writing this and being so open and honest. 5 out of 5 stars. May even be a 6-star, honestly. That got so awkward for no reason. I'm just yeah, I put this weird little note. Oh no, he's such a good actor, and I love watching his interviews and stuff. Anyway, so the next book I read, which I'm gonna be honest, at first I did not give it as high of a rating as I have it as now, but it has a higher rating now, which is better than the movies by Lynn Painter. Again, another book Haley Pham got me into reading. And I know in my last week's video I showed a book called The Do-Over, which I forgot to mention this. She actually has an acknowledgement in that book. Like, Lynn Painter put Haley Pham in the acknowledgements, and I love that for her. Anyway, so better than the movies by Lynn Painter. Your typical enemies to lovers, like childhood, I guess they were childhood friends or childhood enemies to lovers, I don't know. But it's like the cute, like, bickering type of enemies to lovers, not like I'm gonna unalive you enemies to lovers. But it was just so cute, and I feel like there were just parts where you could tell Wes was so in love with Liz, and I loved it. It was so cute. Like, again, another one I stayed up like almost all night to read. And for Beyond the Wand and Better Than the Movies, I envy anyone who like hasn't read them yet. Like, I envy you because you get to experience it for the first time. I don't. Anyway, so this one, it made me mad in the best possible ways. Like, it made me mad because of how obvious they were and how cute they were, but didn't know it, and it was just this is exactly what I wrote, by the way. And then one specific okay, not to spoil anything, but there's one specific scene where they are out to dinner. They're just friends at this point, or like frenemies, whatever. And he can't finish his food, so he offers her the last of his French fries. And that part made me giggle because I love French fries. If I'm on a date or even just hanging out with a guy and he offers me the last of his French fries, like, right there, man. Like, put a ring on it. Because, oh my gosh, I love French fries. And also, that's just so cute. Anyway. Anyway. But then they got what I thought was their happy ending like 100 pages before the end. And that last part of the book had me an emotional roller coaster. Going to reread it so I can annotate and take my time and relive it all. Also, I want my own Wes Bennett. 5 out of 5. I want my own Wes Bennett. He's so cute. Like, I haven't read a whole lot of popular book talk books or anything, but best book boyfriend right here. Best one. Wes Bennett. I say, but I haven't read nothing like the movies yet. No one spoil anything. Please. Okay. So next, and this is when I first started this channel, so for some of these you already know the ratings. Next was The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore. Way too much spice, in my opinion. When I heard about this book, I was under the impression that it was a cute, cozy fall mystery with a tiny bit of romance. And I was like, okay, I can handle that. Then I read it, and oh my gosh. It was spice central in a few of the chapters, which I did not care for. If you're someone that enjoys spice by like a lot, then by all means, read it. For me, however, this will not be a reread, and I will not be reading the rest of the series. To me, this was a spicy small town romance with a tiny bit of mystery, which is not what I wanted to read. 2.25 stars. So it's not the worst book I've ever read, but I definitely don't want to reread it. So, alright, next is Faceless by Alexandra Ivy. This was the opposite of the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. This was definitely mystery with a tiny bit of romance, but I feel like it was but I don't feel like it was executed as well as it could have been. The romance didn't come out of nowhere or anything like that, but you could tell at least one character liked another. But the issue is the reveal of the feelings was so fast and random. There was like 1 or 2 chapters with spice, like straight up just spice, that I was not expecting, but I was more okay with it than the Spice Cafe. So I never expected the bad guys to be who they were, and there were many points in the book where I had to where had I had to read it physically the whole time rather than listen on audiobook, I would have just stopped immediately. By no means is this a bad read or anything, it's just not my top favorite book. So, like, it's really not a bad book, and honestly, I got it for $1 at Dollar Tree, because at the time, it was still $1 instead of $1.25. Anyway, so I'm not even mad about the fact that I didn't love it. Like, I'm sure she is a very loved author. I'm sure she has very good stuff. I personally just did not care for this. So, anyway. Next is Twisted Love by Anna Huang. I had high hopes for this book. Alright. Hated this book. Very gross and spicy. I did not see any romance. I saw lust and physical attraction. No love, no sweetness, no anything like that. I felt like it was 3 stories in one book, and I stopped listening like 3 chapters before the end. 1 out of 5 stars. I did not love it. I literally hated it. So something I've actually recently realized is that while I do hate spice in books, if it adds to the plot or if there's like real love there, I don't hate it as much. If it is straight up just lust and physical attraction, like there's all of one scene in this book where you think, okay, maybe they do love each other. But that's it. So, anyway, next. Okay, so this one, I actually was doing like an unhaul of like all the books I'm getting rid of, and I accidentally gave my mom this one before I could film this. So, if I can find a picture, it'll go somewhere up here like earlier, which is The Lightning Rod by Brad Meltzer. I love that there were short chapters because I hate really long chapters, and that there were some NCIS vibes going along with it, and I liked that there were multiple POVs at times and flashback scenes. However, there was one storyline in there that at first you're like, oh, is this helpful to the case? Is that why it's in there? And then you get to the end and you find out, no, this storyline had literally nothing to do with the case. So because of that one little storyline, it is only a 4 stars out of 5. By no means was it a bad book. Like, I would recommend it to someone. Personally, though, I don't see myself picking it back up and rereading it. Like, I just don't. Okay. Next! You can tell which ones I'm excited about versus the ones that I didn't love. Next was The March Girl by Lindsay Klingel. I don't actually know how to pronounce the last name. First off, that cover is so cool looking to me. I mean, it's not like gorgeous or anything, but I like the way it looks. So here we have Liv. Wait, right? That's her name, right? Yeah. Here we have Liv, and she is just going through life, you know? And then these people from another world just randomly jump in. Like, are just randomly there. And now she's sucked into, if you've ever watched the My Inner Demons Minecraft roleplay by Afmao, this book gives off those vibes. So, anyway, so I like that I regularly thought I knew why Liv was in the story, and I thought I figured it all out halfway through, but by the end of the book, I was completely wrong. Completely. And I loved that because I really don't love when I figure things out quickly. Like I do, but I don't. It's hard to explain. Anyway, I don't love figuring out books that easily. I enjoy being surprised, so this book made me very happy in that sense. However, Cedric, the male main character, made me very mad because of how he treated Kat and Liv and the reasoning he was not happy with Liv at the end of the book. 4.5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. I literally, as no, not even as soon as I finished it. Like literally 3 chapters before the end, I ordered The Broken World, which is the second in this book. So that's definitely a book on my 2025 TBR. Okay. Next is Daughter of the Pirate King by Tricia Levenseller. This one, I loved this one. Not enough to give it 5 stars, sadly. But I love that Aloja, I think that's how you say the female main character's name, was such a strong, independent woman. She could handle her own. She's sarcastic. She's witty. Like, she was just overall great. Like, she was amazing. I love her. She's so funny. I love the slow burn between her and I believe his name is pronounced Ridden. And how Ridden cared for her even though he also hated her and was suspicious of her the whole time. The plot twist towards the end, however, I never saw coming once, but was happy to read them. Because like I said, I like being surprised. Now, this is the only reason why I did not get a 5 stars. The way a lot of the males treated women was extremely disgusting to me. Like, which I don't know, that has more to that is obviously the storyline and not like the book itself. Well, I guess it is the book itself. Anyway, the way a lot of the males treated the women was extremely disgusting, and I understand it's accurate for the time in which the book takes place, because I believe it takes place like, I don't know, like when Pirates of the Caribbean takes place, basically. But it was still gross to me, and I'm excited to read the second book eventually. This got a 4.75 stars. So it is still very highly rated, and when I get the second book, I'm thinking I'm gonna reread this one and then read that one and everything. But yeah, it was just so good. And like, it's so cute at some points, but I need to stop talking so I don't spoil anything. Anyway. So, next was Good Girl Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. I did not like this one as much as I did the first one. Very many things were so out of pocket and I never expected. What I did like was that it did accurately portray depression and how easily it can get like bad and then good again and then bad again. Like, it didn't feel like the first one, and I don't know if I love that or hate that. 4 out of 5 stars. Like, I'm definitely gonna read the third one and probably the novella, but some of this isn't fully updated. Okay, next is Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. Kingsley is my favorite character. He's so adorable and funny. I love how awkward and funny Evie is, and how the villain can only be gentle with her, and how there's so obviously attraction there. But like, you know, nothing actually ever happens for the most part. Like, you know, it doesn't get spicy or anything. But the way Evie goes kind of dark at some points, I can't tell if I love that she's willing to do that for the villain, or if I think it's kind of a red flag. Like, I can't tell if he brought that out in her, or if it's something that was already there, you know? 4.5 stars out of 5. This was actually a book I was borrowing from a friend, and then I had like already borrowed these books for like over a month, and so I like returned them without reading Apprentice to the Villain. So at some point I need to get my own copies and read these. Anyway. Okay, next. This one, the book is called Kingdoms at War by Lindsay Buroker, I think. I don't know. It's the Dragon Gate series. It was pretty much just background noise for me because I did the little read along. I'm gonna be honest, I only got it because it was only like it was either free or it was like 99 cents or something like that. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I don't even remember most of it. So, but I gave it a 2.25 or 2.5 stars, so it couldn't have been that horrible. I mean, it wasn't great, obviously, but okay. Next is Cruel Winter with You. This is a little holiday novella. It's a part of like a 4-book series. But I don't know what the name of the series is. Well, it might not even be a series. It might just be like a little package that Kindle has. Oh yeah, by the way, I got the Kindle app on my phone. It's been fun. But I'm struggling to not want to buy a physical Kindle. Anyway, so Cruel Winter with You by Ali Hazelwood. This one was actually really cute. So it is best friend's brother, which is one of my favorite tropes. I'm not even gonna lie. The main character, who I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember what her name is. Anyway, she struggles with abandonment issues, anxiety, depression. It's also childhood friends to lovers trope. Basically, female main character's best friend's brother has been in love with her for years and tries to help her through a panic attack. We got a bit of backstory into their lives, and you can tell there was real love there. This is again where it comes in that like I don't mind spice if there's real love there and if it adds to the plot. This is a trope I do hate though. There's the miscommunication trope. Oh my gosh, I completely forgot one of the books. Oops. Okay, we'll get into that in a minute. Okay, hold on. But it all worked out. There was one spice scene, but I saw actual love and, or at the very least, a very strong like for each other in this book rather than just lust. So, I was expecting to only give this like a 3-star because it's like a little novella. It was only like 50 pages, maybe 70 max. And so I was like, you can't really get too much backstory into that. So I don't think I'll love it that much. I gave it a 3.5 star, which isn't bad. So the second in that little bundle or series or whatever is Mary Ever After by Tessa Bailey. Tess Bailey? Tessa Bailey? Tess Bailey. Something. I don't know. Small town romance, single mother who is hurt by a man and has trouble trusting. I didn't see the two main characters actually love each other. But we didn't really get to meet them too much. Again, only like 50 pages, didn't get a whole lot in there. There was a lot of spice. And while they did eventually fall in love, I saw more lust than love. I would give it a lower star, but Luke, the male main character, was such a sweetheart, and I did do some highlighting in this book just because it was so cute at times. Like, okay, there's this one line, which this may be a spoiler. So like, cover your ears if you don't want to hear this. It's so cute. She's like walking up to his house and there's chickens, and he was like, she's so cute when she's apologizing to the chickens because she doesn't want to step on them or something like that. I don't know. It was so cute though. Gentle giant. He was a gentle giant. Anyway, 2.75 stars out of 5. So there's one book that I read actually like just the other day. I think it's called like The Lost Sisters or something like that. I believe it's a novella in the like Cruel Prince series. It's somewhere in there. I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember what rating I gave it. I think I gave it like a 3 or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, but also I was very confused. I couldn't tell if the person speaking, who I can't remember what her name was, if she was like writing a letter to someone or like telling a story to someone. I couldn't really figure out what was going on there. So, I mean, I didn't hate it, but I don't remember most of it, honestly. So, this book, I hated this book. Okay, well, I didn't hate it. It was a disappointment of a book. And I apparently forgot to put it in my little notes. But I read this sometime before the last 3 books I just mentioned. This literally, like, it didn't make me cry for the reasons it makes everyone else cry. It made me cry out of anger and disappointment. I think I gave it like a 2.5 or 2.75 star. This is If He Had Been With Me by Lauren Nowlin. Overhyped in my opinion. Like, everyone's like, oh, it's such a cute romance story, like, but it's so tragic and it's so sad, but it's so sweet and it's so, like, you're just gonna love it. I personally did not love it. I was disappointed by it. Okay, it's mainly, this is so, like, petty and, like, maybe a little bit pathetic, but I mainly hated this book because of the female main character's boyfriend. I wanted to just, like, you know, just boo, 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 you know? Because, like, he really made me mad. Like, there is one scene, which I won't say this one, that I literally teared up out of anger towards this dude. Like, for real. He was not an okay dude. There is one scene in particular I do think about all the time just because it's so sweet and cute. But I also hate it because of that one guy and him being a jerk, as always. Well, okay, he wasn't really being a jerk there, but he was sort of just trying to ignore the problem. But yeah, I did not love this book. I wanted to love it so badly, but I did not. I also did cry a little bit at the end. If you know, you know. But I don't know, there was just, I feel like the ending was rushed. I feel like, because, like, you find out about the tragedy, like, first chapter, like, first page. But I feel like the writer wanted to go one route, and then she was like, no, that's too cliche, like, that's too easy. We're gonna go this other route that's, like, slightly less likely to happen, but still happened. So, therefore, you will be leaving my possession. Yes, I did just say that. Like, I have a box of books down there that I'm getting rid of just because I don't plan on ever, like, reading them or rereading them, and both of these are going in there. So, okay, so last book, and I'm gonna be completely honest, I technically have not finished this, but I am maybe like 70% of the way through, like 65 to 70% of the way through, and I made it there in 2024, so therefore I am counting this as a book in my 2024 wrap up. Untold, which is the second book in the Limburn Legacy. I plan on reading Unmade this year. So far it's been pretty good. So with Unspoken, I could read 1, maybe 2 chapters a night. This one, I am reading like so many chapters. Like, I'm not kidding. Yesterday I started on page like 176 or 186 or something like that. I'm on page 247 now. That was all just in the span of like 7 hours yesterday. So this is my, like, this book is definitely better than the first one. So right now I would say 3.75, maybe even 4 stars. So, but yeah, anyway, that's my 2024 wrap up. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope I put a little smile on your face. I still don't have an outro for this video or for this channel. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. I hope to see you next week. if you wouldn't mind maybe like scrolling down in the little like button, maybe the subscribe button, maybe even commenting a little, you know, anything you want to do. Or if you're annoyed with me and haven't already clicked out, you can click out of this video and ignore me for the rest of your life. I'm kidding. I'm tired and I need sleep. Okay, anyway, bye.